So it's that time of year again where we're probably going to be getting a Nintendo Direct very soon. But this isn't really necessarily a video talking about the next Direct. This is talking about what makes a good Nintendo Direct. Because every time there is a Nintendo Direct that has aired, everywhere on the internet, it's just, this was bad, or this was good, or this was okay. I want to set the groundwork for what actually makes and breaks a Nintendo Direct. I do have a list. I know this is going to be very divisive, very opinionated, but I'm trying to be as objective as possible here, trying to not let personal bias get into the way of this list, or whatever you want to call it, because the last time someone critiqued a Nintendo Direct, Arlo got absolutely destroyed for saying it was simply okay. Please don't murder me for this. But let's just get straight into it. I made this beautiful little graph. P.S. I'm not a graphic designer. I'm absolute trash. But let's get the main stuff out of the way. So the most important part of a Nintendo Direct are the big first-party Nintendo games. Those are the ones most people are looking for. Those are the reasons people bought a Switch in the first place. So what do we want in these Directs? First-party games. What I've done fairly is that I believe 2 first-party games per Nintendo Direct is pretty good. These are your Super Mario Odysseys, your Breath of the Wilds, your Luigi's Mansion 3s, your Animal Crossings, so your Super Mario Maker 2s. All of these types of games come under this category. Big first-party Nintendo games. It's preferable that they come out the year they are announced, but if not, it's not the worst thing in the world. Just as long as you get a solid release date or year, then that's fine by me. We get 2 of these, we are usually off to a good start with the Nintendo Direct. A good example of this was the February Direct of 2019, where it started off with Super Mario Maker 2, it ended off with Link's Awakening. That's 2 big first-party games. One was a full-on blown remake, it wasn't just a port or a remaster, it was a made from the ground up remake, so I still class that as a big Nintendo game. There was also the September 2018 Direct that had Luigi's Mansion 3 and Animal Crossing. I do not care for Luigi's Mansion at all, but it was a big game and it made the Direct good. Because I'm not really a big fan of, let's say, Pikmin, but if they go ahead and announce Pikmin 4, I would count that as a very good reveal. I don't care about it, but it's a big first party game that I know loads of people will care about. So that's that category. Hopefully that makes sense. Let's get on to the next category, which I've lumped a few things together. So we've got ports that have substantial new content, remasters, or DLC for big games. So, games like Splatoon 2 got the Octo expansion. I would count that as a decent reveal. Or the Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, that's a remaster, so I would also put that under this category. There's also spin-offs, WarioWare Gold, your Animal Crossing Amiibo festivals if you want. These types of games would also come under this. I know it's kind of personal preference what would count as a smaller spin-off game, but I feel like it's mostly obvious what counts and what doesn't. So that's what this list comes under. 2 of these is what I would expect per Nintendo Direct, but if not, it's fine because you could rely on the big Nintendo games. But we could get 3 or 4 of these and it would help even out the odds between one big new game and the 2 smaller spin-off type stuff. And then the last thing we really have is just third-party, good, decent third-party games. And I know that is the most subjective thing of all time, but the Crash Bandicoot N. Sane Trilogy, for example, is something I know everybody wanted. Crash Bandicoot, the first 3 games have never been on a Nintendo console before. This was the first time, so I would count that as a pretty good reveal. Or Overwatch, people were begging for Overwatch. I do believe it came too late, and I wasn't too big on it, but I would still count it as a decent third-party reveal. Having a bunch of these throughout the Nintendo Directs always helps to make it just that much better, and if you've got a bunch of these and your bunch of spin-offs and your 2 big Nintendo games, that would be an incredibly good Nintendo Direct right there. It's how all of these bounds together is how I would classify a good Nintendo Direct. For example, if we only had 1 big new Nintendo game, but we had like 4 of the spin-off type stuff and 4 of the third-party cool announcements, I would still count that as a good Direct. If we have no big new Nintendo games, then the Direct is usually not very great, at least in my eyes. And the best example of this, and this is where I'm going to get murdered, is the September 2019 Nintendo Direct. The only big game we got for that was Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, and that's not a new big Nintendo first party game, that is a remaster of an old game, of a Wii game. It might have added content, but I cannot put it in the same caliber as a new game. I don't really care how good the original game was. I'm trying to set that personal bias aside. As long as it's a big new game from a big IP, then that is enough for me. But if it's a remaster of anything, I know Xenoblade Chronicles is a very highly regarded game, but that shouldn't matter. I'm judging it based on what it is, and what it is a remaster. It's not a new game. So I class that as a spin-off type game. We got Overwatch, which is alright. It's a pretty old game, but that finally came to the Switch. That's an okay announcement. We got the Terry DLC announcement, which is alright as well. So that's two of the spin-off type stuff. That's not so bad. We got the Super Nintendo games, which I would also put under the spin-off type stuff. So that's like 3 spin-off type things, but we got no big games at all. No big new games, which is why I've always said that Direct was not great. I was not a fan of that Direct whatsoever. I think it's probably the worst Direct they've had in many, many years. So if you're ever curious as to what my thoughts are on a Nintendo Direct, look at this list. Count down from these 3 categories how many games were in each of these, and then you'll pretty much know my level of hype for the Direct. I thought the February Direct was fantastic. I thought the September 2018 Direct was very, very good. So I'm not trying to be super biased here. I didn't really care too much for Link's Awakening. I thought it was a way too short game, $60, quite a rip-off, but for what it was at the time, which was a big remake of an old game, fully made music and graphics and everything, it was all redone, so I classed that as a big game. So that is how I would put it. If you guys think this is just not right, let me know. I like conversing in the comments, that's the best thing we can do. So let me know what you would count as a good Nintendo Direct in the comments section below. Does this list make sense? Or am I completely wrong? I don't know, but thank you for watching. I'll catch you later. I actually had this video planned for ages. I just never got around to it. Hopefully Nintendo doesn't end up making it irrelevant or anything. But yeah, thank you for watching. Peace out. I don't know how to end these anymore. I never clap, so I guess I'll clap.